I'm a big fan of the white monsters.
Oh, hell yeah.
Decentralization does not necessarily mean uncoordinated. Our purpose is to bring about the decentralized internet.
To bring 10 million dot?
1% of Genesis dot.
Bring it over to Kusama. Art and culture?
Art and social experiments.
Another for ZK.
ZK and advanced cryptography.
Final one was...
proof of personhood. I had someone tell me that like anything in blockchain, to be successful, it has to help you commit one of the 7 deadly sins. Lust is a sin.
You want to show it off?
I'd like to show it.
Show it off, yeah.
All right, so if people can see, I've got...
oh,
yeah, pardon.
Damn.
The launch team wishes you good luck and Godspeed.
Space Monkeys, blasting off with Bill Laboon, again, the new Vice President of Ecosystem at the Web3 Foundation. Since we've last had him on the show, a lot has happened, and we're going to unpack it all today on the podcast. Bill, welcome back to Space Monkeys.
Thank you. It's always good to be here.
Well, it's nice to have you back. It's nice to have you anytime on the Kus. And you've been so active this year, always. But this year, you're really coming forward with a whole lot of initiatives. How much sleep do you get?
Yeah, I try to get 8 hours of sleep every night, and I'm pretty good at that. But I'm a morning person, so I'm asleep very early and up very early. So you'll often see me very early replying to whatever GitHub messages and tweets, etc.
What's the first thing you do in the morning to get yourself ready for the vigorous day ahead?
I drink tea every morning, a big black tea drinker.
Nice.
And then I get more caffeine as the day goes on. So my trick is not to start with too much caffeine, but you start with the tea in the morning, and then you move on to coffee, and then in the afternoon, then you can do energy drinks.
What do you imbibe in as far as energy drinks go?
When I can find them, I'm an American, as you may know. So these white monsters.
No way.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the white monsters.
Oh hell yeah.
They're not the healthiest thing, but yeah, a lot of caffeine through the day.
Polkadot needs to happen, so if it takes a few white monsters, it's worth the health risk,
Exactly. Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, and if you look at them, the cans, that's almost like dots, right? If you look from the top.
Well, obviously you spend a lot of time looking at them.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So, hey, big news. Just before we started recording, a day or two before this announcement of the new position at the Web3 Foundation.
Yep.
Previously, you were in charge of education.
So originally education. My latest title was Director of Education and Governance Initiatives.
Right.
So I did a lot of work with OpenGov, obviously, but also and technical education, but also ran the support team and the staking team. So helping things like decentralized nodes.
Yeah.
So obviously we have leads for all those individual teams, but sort of providing strategic oversight. So with this new role, the idea is to have under one person this general ecosystem work that I've been doing in terms of the community and users and OpenGov, but also the more building side of things. So this means grants and investments and any sort of BD work, all of these kind of things, which traditionally were handled by a separate group. So basically we want to have more strategic oversight of how this works together.
Yeah.
Right? The people in the community, the users of Polkadot, the participants in OpenGov, as well as the people looking to build both internally and externally, et cetera. So basically having a more strategic oversight of growing Polkadot in all of its facets.
This is really important because a misconception that a lot of people run with is that the Web3 Foundation is the Polkadot Foundation. And this probably comes from, all the other projects in the industry where they have this kind of core foundation focused just on the one product. They make all the decisions. Sometimes they execute governance. They're doing the deals. They're doing BD. Web3 Foundation is kind of saddled with this expectation a lot. But that's not what the Web3 Foundation was meant to do.
Right. So if you look at our mandate, what we are, what's called a Stiftung in German. So that is, an entity with a purpose, right? So generally, a business that has a purpose of making money.
Yeah.
Our purpose is to bring about the decentralized internet.
Yeah.
And while we have been doing this with Polkadot, we have provided a lot of support. This is not the totality of our mandate. So if you look at something like Web3 Summit, this is not meant specifically for Polkadot. The majority of people here are not from Polkadot. The majority of people here may have never, signed an extrinsic or done anything in Polkadot, but rather, to help bring out the word of Web3. Like that's our goal, right? And so we have a slightly different way of interacting with the ecosystem, I think, than others also. If you look right at OpenGov, if you want to make a change, it has to be voted on and agreed on by the dot holders.
Yeah.
And we have also brought this, we've sort of interpreted this to mean we want to check to see if the community wants to do thing before we do it, right? We want to make sure the community is in line with that. So things like this new Kusama vision, we didn't just say, hey, this is what we want to do with Kusama.
Yeah.
But rather we said, hey, this is our idea. Does the community agree? With this Polkadot Agents program, we didn't say, hey, we're going to make a new agents program, but rather we said, hey, community, what is this something that you want?
Yeah.
And so we really see ourselves in some ways, not as maybe not as the slave or servant of OpenGov and Polkadot.
Sure.
But if we are going to do something for Polkadot, we want to know, is that what the Polkadot community wants? And I think people also need to understand, like, our goal is not just do what we want to do with Polkadot or even just do what people in Polkadot want to do, but rather to bring about the decentralized internet.
Totally.
And, we're doing this with Polkadot, we're doing this with Kusama, we're doing this with Jam, we're doing this with other grants that we give out to others, but we are trying to do what we can to make sure that people can, own their own data, that they can actually participate in a Web3 world.
This is a really impactful move to put you in this position, I feel like, because while the Web3 Foundation is trying to bring about the decentralized internet, of course, Polkadot and Kusama is the vehicle to do that.
Yes.
A lot of people who are holding DOT, who are holding KSM, have been calling for a little bit more direction, and Web3 Foundation is in a good position to do that. Now, you in this position as a very forward-facing person, you're on the forums, you come on AAG, you're very responsive in DMs, everybody knows you. This is a good move for all sides. And it's a real good opportunity to get some sort of alignment, to kind of get everybody running in the same direction.
Yeah. So I do think like this is a major thing that I want to do, right? So decentralization does not necessarily mean uncoordinated.
Right.
Right. And so one thing that I have seen, from talking from the community, I've we've talked many times. I've talked with lots of people in the community, is this lack of coordination, right? Again, it doesn't mean that we want to be telling people what to do, but we want to see Polkadot succeed.
Yeah.
Right. And to me, how Polkadot succeeds is if we are more unified, united, and we have a goal. And so one of the things that I want to do, and having just stepped into this role, recently, not all the details are in place yet, but is to coordinate this. And we've already started, figuring out, all right, what are things generally that people in the ecosystem agree with need to be changed, and what are the priorities there?
Sounds good.
And so maybe the way we get there is in a decentralized way, but I really want to help coordinate this, right? So seeing, from my sort of, traditional, older responsibilities of dealing with OpenGov, dealing with the community, and something I think should be mentioned is, I used to be in charge of grants also. Like this is not a totally new area to me.
Yeah.
But now I've been involved with Polkadot in one way or another since 2018. So well before it launched, right? So I've seen a lot at this point, and I've heard a lot about where are the stumbling blocks, and I have a lot of ideas about what the stumbling blocks are to get more people building and to support the people that are there. And I think so having this more strategic overview of both sides of the coin, from the users of Polkadot and people to develop on Polkadot, being able to express this to people, these ideas of coordination and what we want to do. I'm really hoping this will be sort of a sea change. Maybe I'm being melodramatic.
I don't think so.
But I really think that having this sort of one vision of what we want to approach. People always talk about wanting a North Star.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that over the next month or two, as that we figure out a really good strategy, we have this North Star. Here's our messaging. Here is a single point that we can reach towards together as a community.
I think we are very decentralized, which means we're very resilient to the collapse of any sort of central point of alignment or planning. So even if everything went as poorly as possible, just saying in that case, we still have all the tools available for somebody else to rise up and some other organization to rise up. So it's like, it's safe to take charge, because we have this underlying decentralization Like, we're not, it's not like another ecosystem where if the foundation goes under, everything's done, right?
Yeah.
Like we're built to last. And so it's so great that you're doing this already.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of the things, like, decentralization, I've always said, I mean, it has a lot of advantages and a lot of disadvantages.
Yeah.
But one of these advantages is, right, people are always, filling in holes, right, that they see. If Web3 Foundation went away tomorrow, I'm not saying that's a good thing. Hopefully,
Yeah, no, of course.
I don't think.
No.
But there is enough of knowledge, like, spread out in the Polkadot Technical Fellowship, amongst all the various programs, amongst all the various people that I know in the ecosystem. We have a treasury that has over I don't know exact amounts, but well over 100 million USD worth of tokens, where we have a lot of people that are very passionate about governance, and that can help direct these funds. So one of the nice things about Polkadot is, like you said, we sort of have, it's like what do you call it? These tightrope walkers, and there's a net underneath.
Yeah.
Right. So they can do some more tricky stuff, right? They can try things out. They could try running or walking on their hands or something, because there is this net if something goes really wrong.
All right. Well, let's walk through some of these tricks that we're trying to pull off here. Even before you got the new role, you've already been trying to create new structures.
Yes.
The most recent one that we've heard about is the new agents.
Yeah.
What are you calling it?
Yeah. Polkadot Agents.
Polkadot Agents. Yeah. And this is currently on the Wish for Change track. 100% support or something like that. Must be nice.
Yeah,
Not everybody gets to enjoy that green.
It's very, very rare. Yes.
But okay, what's the intention of this program?
So essentially what we saw is that there are some gaps in the OpenGov system and in the Polkadot system in general for support. So we have, for instance, an events bounty. We have a meetups bounty. All kinds of programs that do various things, BD bounty, games bounty, all this stuff.
Yeah.
But we also have just, general OpenGov, where people can come and, you can do a treasury proposal for anything. But, all of these have, some problems, and there's sort of gaps that we wanted to fill in. So I think of, like, Polkadot, if you want to do something, it's sort of like a cobblestone road.
Exactly.
There are things, but there's not, this mortar in between is missing.
Sure.
Right? We wanted to be that mortar. All right. So that's very abstract. What do we mean specifically? Is, if you have, a small event that you want to put together, it's too late to do it for the events bounty, because they have, like, particular time, which makes sense. In a decentralized world, things can't happen quickly. You could apply, if you're already a member of the Polkadot Agents program, like, hey, I've got this event, I need $500 or something to put it together. Like, this is meant for relatively small things at this point. Okay, then we can provide it. So Web3 Foundation, we don't have the benefit of decentralization. We're very centralized. But what we do have the benefit of is, like, very fast turnaround, right? We understand, right? Okay, yeah, these people, they need a multi-sig, to get everyone together for multi-sig, and maybe they meet every 2 weeks to vote and all of this stuff. We can very quickly say, oh yeah, we think this is very useful. We can provide funding. Or people that don't know how OpenGov works yet, right? Or don't have time, So a lot of this is meant for, like, all these small, like, rapid turnaround things that are just not very well suited to doing things on chain.
How about like solo BD missions? Like, I'm going to go to this event and I talked to, like, this many people and I got this many contacts, like something like that.
Yeah, also possible. Yeah, right? These, like, very like solo focused things. So BD or growth or representing. Someone has a chance to go speak to someone in the EU.
Sure.
And they're like, hey, I just found out about this. It's a really great opportunity. If they can prove to us, which, again, our goal is to be, like, very rapid turnaround, then we can reimburse that. So what we want, we see, like, all these tiny little things, right, that people have trouble with, right? That, like, you're doing something in an on-chain way, which in some ways is really good, right?
Totally.
Sunlight is the best disinfectant, doing things all open and above board.
Yep.
But we think there are a lot of these, generally these are small things in between the cracks.
Yeah.
We don't see the agents program for, hey, I want to, run Polkadot Decoded next year.
No, right.
No, that's not what we're looking at.
Exactly.
But hey, there's an event, and we're going to meet President of France, right? But I need money for the plane ticket.
Yeah.
Right? If this is someone that's already a part of the agents program, we know who they are. They've already been identified. This is sadly important. I realize, like, I saw some complaints. Actually, I meant to respond. So to that person on Polk Assembly that mentioned about identification, I just haven't had a chance to respond yet.
Yeah.
We need to know who we're giving money to, because we're not a chain.
No.
We are a foundation. We happen to own some DOT, but we're an actual Swiss foundation with rules. So we need to know who these people are. But if we know who they are ahead of time, if they've been connected with us and we know they're doing good work, and we can very rapidly give them funding so that they're empowered, right? So basically what we want, this is not anything paid. This will never be anything where you're paid to be a part of it, but rather we want to make sure you're not losing money by helping Polkadot.
Right. That's very cool. So people will have to sign up, kind of like a KYC process, like who are you? Because you're dealing with a foundation.
Right.
And then you have a communication line open. So if you have opportunities, then you can possibly get some funding.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is, like I said, it's meant to be pretty simple. It's just, we see these cracks.
Yeah.
Sort of the other half of it, I would say that's, to me, maybe the main half, like 60%. But, also is just providing like a good way of communicating with the people that are really, involved in Polkadot.
Good.
Right.
Yeah.
So, any messaging that we have, or new things happening, we have an email list of the agents that people that would be interested in these things occurring, and knowing what we're doing on Polkadot and what we're doing in the future. Also providing a line of communication to them.
It's great. Yeah, because otherwise it's okay. Go and navigate OpenGov. And there's also this gap between like people who go through the foundation first. Like there's this gap to OpenGov as well that still could use some work. So this is filling in all those cracks, I imagine.
Right. I mean, that's also sort of a bridge, right?
Yeah.
And so this, filling in the crack, which, is like a gorge if you're an ant or something, right?
Yeah,
So you have a little bridge. If you've never used OpenGov, it's quite confusing.
Yeah, totally.
So every couple of months, I give this talk at PBAX, Polkadot Blockchain Academy online, where I explain OpenGov. And a lot of people don't even understand what is on-chain governance for, right? Let alone how it works. There is a lot of unspoken rules, right? There's a lot of history that people don't know about, and what topics to avoid, what's useful in OpenGov. A lot of people, we see them like post a referendum without ever posting anything on the forum or anything, so there's no feedback, and then they get upset. Yeah, so I do think something also from a technical education perspective is talk not just about the this side of things, that like, all right, this is the track you need to use, and but also how do you get people on board in the community?
Exactly. Yeah, OpenGov is the social layer, right? So you can't just show up at a party and ask for favors.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You kind of need to build some rapport and reputation, and this is a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of OpenGov, one of the bigger wish for changes you put up recently was to, I guess, claim or verify this early promise to bring 10 million DOT. Is it?
Yes. 1% of Genesis DOT, which is 10 million current DOT.
New DOT, yeah. Bring it over to Kusama and put it to work to build that network, make a stronger connection between the two networks. And this was affirmed maybe with 100% as well.
99 point something. Yeah.
Oh, ouch. Yeah, no.
there's always those people that, that
always room for improvement.
Always room for improvement also. That's a better way of looking at it. Yeah.
So, okay. This was back in March. Obviously, moving that much capital into a program is a process.
Yeah.
But you're getting pretty close. Recently, you opened 3 new bounties on Kusama.
Yes.
One for art and culture, or
art and social experiments.
Art and social experiments.
Yeah.
Another for ZK.
ZK and advanced cryptography.
And the final one was
proof of personhood.
The proof of personhood. Big stuff. So these bounties aren't filled yet. Are they going to be filled with DOT, or how's that going to work?
So that's a great question. Yeah. So for technical reasons right now, bounties can only hold the native token.
Yeah.
So we can only put KSM.
New bounty palette coming.
New bounty palette is coming. So at that point, then we would fill them up with DOT. But beforehand, we would like to get this out ASAP.
Yeah.
So, it was announced officially yesterday, although those people, I know this was mentioned on AAG already, those people that were noticed that I made the bounties a while ago.
Yeah.
So just to sort of...
Oh, we're watching.
Yeah. People are watching. I know.
Yeah.
So the idea is on these 3 topics that you will get DOT. There is some workarounds. So for instance, we can send like so many planks worth of KSM as an indicator to Web3 Foundation to send that much DOT to someone, since everything is just still in Web3 Foundation stashes.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the basic idea that we want people to build. We're going to be filling up these bounties. The exact numbers we're going to slowly ramp up, but starting with probably tens of thousands of DOT per month, moving to hundreds of thousands in the near future. We don't plan on spending all of this at once.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the plan. So it's gonna be a significant amount. If you're looking to build on one of these topics on Kusama,
It's a huge injection.
it's a very huge injection.
Wow.
It's one of the reasons we didn't want to do it all at
Of
once.
course.
To me, that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right. That we wanted to see, what's working and what doesn't work. And also make sure that this is not meant to be a one-time injection, right? We want to make sure that, as the bird leaves the nest, right, that it is well fed,
Yeah.
right? And so just like, if you're a baby bird, the mama bird doesn't give you like 500 worms at once and then say, okay, you're good. But, she feeds it as, the birds grow and then eventually they can fly away.
Cool. So what are you hoping to see, let's say, in the art and social experiments? Like what are some ideas or
I've got tons of ideas, but
Cool.
what I'm more interested is in what you all think. Right?
Yeah.
Is there's things I haven't not thought of yet.
Of course.
But in terms of art, like people they think, oh, okay, pictures, NFTs, and to me, like that's a boring part, or like maybe boring isn't the right word, but straightforward. That's part of it. Generative art, I've always thought was very neat.
Sure.
So and we see this, like I know Polkadot. There's this great artist, Arcane, who does some really cool stuff with generative art. Like that's something more like art experiments, things in the real world, and connecting to it. So I've seen like different displays of like what's happening. Like, especially I've seen this on Bitcoin. This is very big in Bitcoin in the early days, like physical displays of what's happening in the mempool.
Oh yeah,
and on blocks.
That's cool.
So I would love to see something like that on Kusama.
Yeah. What comes to mind is like Kukabi's experimenting with like turning the blockchain into music and visualizations and stuff. Like this is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's art.
Yeah.
So and there's all kinds of things that I think would be very interesting for Kusama.
Yeah.
To see. So also social experiments. So Kusama has some social experiments, some of which are more popular than others. Already. Like so, for instance, social recovery. You can think of that as a social experiment.
Totally.
On Kusama, you can set other people up to agree. If you lose your key to an account, you actually can get it restored socially. That is a social experiment. Kappa Sigma Mu. Which is the human blockchain, which I'm a member. I hope you don't mind if I show my tattoo.
You want to show it off?
I'd like to show it.
Show it off, yeah.
All right, so if people can see, I've got, part
damn.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm glad it was on an appropriate part of the body.
Yeah. So not yet. So we'll see with, I don't know where these new proof of personhoods tattoos are going to have to go. Yeah. So Kappa Sigma Mu, human blockchain, I've got a link to the last person who got this. And then, I received KSM in exchange for that. Like that's a social experiment. I would love actually to see something like this or improvements to Kappa Sigma Mu.
Totally.
Like, there's already, over 200 members, but I think there's lots of room to try other stuff out with that.
Cool.
So, anything really that, creates a community. I was talking with someone, this sort of goes on both, on several of these different tracks. I was talking to a woman here yesterday who wanted to do a ZK knowledge dating app on Kusama.
Yeah.
Which, like, that's cool, right?
Actually, maybe it was her, maybe it was somebody else. People were like pitching their hackathon ideas on stage and, people are chattering in the background and stuff. And then a woman goes up and she's like, I'm going to build like a ZK dating app, and everyone like, shut up and listen.
Yeah.
So I think there's some interest in, in getting together. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I had someone tell me that like, anything in blockchain, like to be successful, it has to help you commit one of the 7 deadly sins. And lust is a sin.
Yeah, that's
right?
so funny.
So,
that's cool. Yeah, so true. Okay, so you were saying that spans kind of the 3 buckets, but maybe a little bit more in the ZK and advanced cryptography. Yeah.
So Gav's talk, here had mentioned like, we have looked into ZK, right, and doing things, but it turns out it's very computationally expensive.
Exactly.
And Elves provides, a sort of, equivalent. It's not exactly the same, but generally, for what you get, it's very secure and very computationally efficient to do things via Elves. So this is just the mechanism for people, with pessimistic rollups, aka parachains. How they work is basically you have like a subset of the validators checking and making sure they all agree. And it turns out mathematically this is also very secure, and then you can shard.
Yep.
But ZK has its own benefits. The fact that you can 100% prove things, and the fact that you can do this in a way that you're not exposing secrets that you don't want to have exposed.
Totally.
The idea is, all right, let's let we decided, again, in Polkadot against using this, but, it is super cool. It is really super interesting, this ZK technology, and perhaps there are ways that we can experiment and, do things more efficiently.
And it is getting more efficient too.
And yeah, it's definitely, it's definitely on the way. It's the same, and this is another talking about quantum resistance, right? Like, and AI, I feel like, generally things are really advancing very quickly in the tech industry in general. So let's give a place for people to play with that, right? Using Polkadot technology. And so one of the things is like, we want Kusama to be, an experimental playground. And this is a particular technology we're interested in that we're not using, but might be interested in using at Polkadot in the future. So it's sort of a win-win situation is if we support ZK on Kusama, we give a lot of people that want to use this, and you will get a chance to use Polkadot technology and hopefully see the benefits of it, as well as, helping Kusama create its own identity. Because really, part of this referendum was to say that we are recognizing Kusama is no longer, just the canary network of Polkadot, but really its own thing. So this is helping to give it an identity. It's something different from Polkadot. It's trying different things, which I think, like culturally is very interesting. And, this is something I think people don't always think about, is the cultural and psychological aspects. We were talking about this earlier of blockchain and being part of that and differentiating it from other blockchains, but also, the technical side of things. So I really think it's a win-win. We get to experiment more. Polkadot gets benefit from it. Kusama gets benefit from being its own thing and moving in its own direction.
And there is a focus on privacy with this as well. You want to create some or experiment with some privacy on blockchain.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is another part of Kusama. So privacy. I mean, there have been privacy applications on Polkadot, but I think we've already seen more of an interest in this on Kusama.
Yeah.
So like Integrity's Incognity program, for instance, but some other things. What we have seen is a lot of people interested in privacy are also interested in Kusama. I feel like there's already a good overlap between those. And so we want to support that as well. And there's a lot of projects actually that I've talked to offline, like looking for grants for privacy projects, and some of which are very interesting. And this is a way for a network, for Kusama to support them.
And then the last bucket, proof of personhood. This, I mean, it kind of already seems like this is taking off. Gav just said that the app is going to be out this year.
Yeah.
Really interesting ideas about the airdrop there, right? It's like, we're not going to airdrop to people on their crypto history. We're going to airdrop to people who can prove they're an individual, which is so cool. But it kind of like feels like it's like skipping Kusama.
I mean, the details of that aren't, fully fleshed out yet.
Yeah, right. It's true. I'm speculating.
But, because, Kusama is also using, Polkadot technology, like you should be able to also, use this and build things on top of that. I can imagine lots of different use cases, right, for proof of personhood, using, this technology and using the proof of personhood app, right, and then using that on Kusama, right? So it's just like, Polkadot Technical Fellowship makes like a lot of decisions on Kusama, right? They are currently, right? They're separate networks, but there is some, overlap. There's still some connections. Maybe we'll see those change in the future.
That's cool.
So one thing is, using this technology in different ways for different projects on Kusama, but also maybe making alternatives to that. Like there are other ways to do proof of personhood.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I mentioned Integrity, but in Cointer, which is sort of, associated with them, they have a proof of personhood protocol with these ceremonies of meeting people in person. This is a different approach to proof of personhood. And there is no one single right way to do things. So I mentioned this actually in my talk yesterday about, what is good, who is doing OpenGov correctly, or someone said, who's doing on-chain governance correctly. And, my answer was like, it's really too early to tell. I think of right now with governance, and I promise I'll get back to proof of personhood in a second, although I think they're related.
Yeah.
We are right now in this Cambrian era, way back in the day when, all sorts of weird new life forms were being, evolved, and they're, right now, like things are a little more static. Right? But, if you look in the Cambrian days about like the different kinds of creatures that were created, and some of these like just did not work at all.
Yeah.
They just like these weird things that, they ended up, trilobites, and like it was like, all right, that was cool for a couple 100 million years. It didn't work out in the long run.
Ouch, yeah.
And other things like horseshoe crabs are still around.
Yeah,
and
they're crushing it.
Yeah, jellyfish.
Yeah.
Like, some of these are very weird, but they've worked.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about things on chain, and people, I think in general in our industry, are very prone to this. I have discovered the one true way to do things.
Yeah,
we
totally.
call these people maxis, right?
Yeah.
Bitcoin is perfect and there is nothing or whatever. My chain is perfect, and I think part of what I really liked about Polkadot was from the beginning, we realized like we don't know. None of us are smart enough. We've got some amazingly smart people, but none of us are smart enough to predict the future better than evolution can.
Totally.
And so we made Polkadot able to evolve.
Yeah.
And so part of this, for proof of personhood, just getting back to our thing, with governance, is learning to see where we're going wrong or what could be better, making the changes, right, and continuing to adapt. Like, I think that's really important, is that we need to continue to adapt. So with proof of personhood, getting back, it was a little bit of a tangent, apologies.
All good.
So getting back to proof of personhood, like, Gav had several ideas, right? There, one is this tattoo, but there's, some other ideas.
He mentioned proof of interaction with an app.
Proof of interaction.
Yeah.
Like there's different approaches. And it's really hard to say right now. It's always hard to tell, like, what is going to work? What are the downsides that we don't see? And, often there's just an element of luck involved in this.
Okay, yeah, totally.
Really great podcast, by the way, not to advertise too many other podcasts, Advent of Computing, which is all about the early days of computing. And it's really interesting to me, like, seeing what people thought computers would be like, and like, sort of what decisions we went down, and like how much of that was random.
Right. Yeah, totally.
How we ended up with a QWERTY keyboard.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or, in, Azerty in France and all the, like, okay, how did we end up with that?
Right.
At the processor level, like a lot of decisions are just based on the success of the 8086. That this one processor, got really popular. And so like, there were a lot of other ideas, but we wanted to make sure then the 286 needed to be compatible with the 8086, and then the 386 compatible with that. And then it's been really interesting. And I think it's the same with blockchain. We're in these early days of blockchain still. I know that's such a cliche, right? We're still early.
Yeah.
But we're true. Like, Bitcoin's been out 16 years. Yeah, we're still figuring this stuff out, and I don't want to be arrogant to say like, all right, this is the way we're going to do it.
The thing about luck is that to make it work, you actually have to try a bunch of different things,
Yes.
right? If you're just obsessed with one way, then you're not going to have a lot of luck because you actually don't have a lot of choice.
Yeah.
Right. So if we incentivize a lot of different experiments, then we're more likely to land on something that works.
Yeah. You look at any like project that lasts like, 10 years or 15 years, like it is never successful.
Right.
Like you have this amazing idea that you spend 15 years working on. It's never successful. What is successful? The things that people put together in a weekend or at a hackathon.
And it takes off.
And 99% of them fail. But the 1%, right, those are the ones that end up being like the really major like change drivers in the world, I think.
So proof of personhood, obviously we can experiment with different ways to identify individuality. One of the big things is going to be building different social games and social systems, which, as you already mentioned, is really connected to OpenGov. Having personhood on chain is going to open up a lot of new opportunities for brand new consensus systems, ways to manage treasuries. And, Gav has talked about this for years now, is like we have kind of the OpenGov experiment, but then we're going to have, different consensus systems underneath. You can have one person, one vote. You can have, reputation systems and all sort of things that are not available to us today. So this brings me to kind of a new discussion in the ecosystem, which is how do we improve OpenGov? So we do have the proof of personhood, which is going to open up new avenues. But even today, without it, there are ways to improve OpenGov. Maybe, Bill, you can share with us maybe the top 2 or 3 areas that could be improved from today, and maybe your opening ideas, opening discussions.
Yeah, so I think there are a couple of things that are like very low-hanging fruit, right? That are problems.
Okay.
And so one is lack of overarching coordination and goals, budget. It's been more of like, people have these ideas and it's all disconnected. All right, so this is one problem, is this disconnection. Another problem I would say is governance fatigue, where we have so many referenda happening at the same time, and it is impossible. Again, part of my job, right, is to keep track of what's happening on OpenGov, and it's impossible.
Part of
right?
your job.
Part of my job.
Should be the whole job, right?
Yeah, I mean,
needs a whole job.
Yeah, if that is like your full-time job, you could keep up, but is that really what we want? Okay. I would say these honestly, like these are the two big things, right? So first, coordination. I think actually, so Allison, Bob, Tommy, and Enkel has been like putting together budgets, seeing what we've been spending on, which I think is a good direction forward.
Totally.
I know you actually have been working with RFPs, so that we're asking for what we need instead of just waiting for someone to come up with an idea. You actually say, hey, here's what we need, and helping to do that. So I think what we should be doing going forward is having more of that coordination, and maybe even I know I don't want to have a council again like we used to, but having more of a governing body, right? Like more of an idea of like, all right, this is the direction we all agree we want to go in. And so like, in a decentralized way, perhaps for Wish for Change, right? Saying like, here's our strategy, but then giving that strategy to people to execute.
Sure. Okay.
So this is like one idea. So everything I'm saying here is now very speculative.
Well, it's open for discussion right now, know, but it's good. Starting to just identify the problems is a good thing. As far as fatigue goes, one of the solutions I'm interested in now is maybe just increasing submission deposits. Even it looks like a Wish for Change on Kusama is about to pass, where it's like those submission deposits are kept or burned if the proposal doesn't pass. So that's pretty spicy.
So that's a bit spicy. I mean, I think to me, like having a submission deposit at least be burned if no decision deposit is placed.
So unless
right, because otherwise it's very easy to spam the network, right? And right now decision deposits are very cheap. And the reason behind this, I think, was actually not bad, right? The rationale was that if you put down a submission deposit, maybe you don't have enough money for a decision deposit, but someone else will provide that for you. But what we've seen is that the interface, most projects will show whatever referendum is out there, which makes sense. People need to know about these referenda in order to put a decision deposit down. But you can easily spam the network with that, right? And then that's very cheap spam, which we don't want. So increasing the submission deposit, I think, makes sense. So on Kusama, this Wish for Change is putting it to 3.333 KSM, which to me seems like a reasonable amount.
Over $50, worth
it. So like 50-ish. And there's still the opportunity if you want to do something and you don't have 3.33 KSM, all right, put something in the forum. Like somebody, if it's a good idea, somebody will pick up on it. And I think this helps reduce governance fatigue.
Right? That's a good one.
So this is one idea. Another idea is having like only periods of time that referenda sessions that treasury proposals are available.
That's cool.
You can at least take a break, right? That all right, this month nothing's going to pass. Putting more, and I'm certainly in favor of this last one, especially like to me this seems almost like a no-brainer of having more under the control of bounties, where you have as opposed to doing things through treasury proposals all the time.
Bounties are getting pretty good. I think they're really starting to come into their own.
Oh, definitely.
Meetups bounty is good. Events bounty is pretty good. Marketing bounty's getting there.
I mean, we're seeing. I mean, it's definitely an improvement. And I think that's because we're learning. We've tried things. We've seen what doesn't work. Right. One thing that's getting changed right now with Open Gov is this. Needing every 90 days. I think you need to refresh your curators list. You need I forget what it's called.
I know. The bounty palette needs a lot of improvements, and it's getting it.
And it's getting it right. So as we see these minor problems that are being improved upon. But I think these major problems, we're still working on ways to reduce governance fatigue, to make things easier to understand. Although I think, again, we're doing good parts. AAG is there for people to discuss. We have AI now on Polk Assembly, and I think also on Subsquare now. We're just give an overview of what this is. We had delegation, decentralized voices. I know can sometimes be controversial. But this has, I think, helped increase the amount of participation and also sharding it a little bit, right? Giving some
sharing the burden, really.
Sharing the burden. Yeah, exactly.
Real quick on decentralized voices, because there's talks about kind of refactoring it a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea of the direction of that?
Sure. So
yeah.
so this was on Polkadot forum. We want to hear from the people in the community. So this is something like if I can if people listening here have get nothing else from it, like we are interested, right? We are here for the community, and we hear complaints and and praise for Decentralized Voices.
Certainly.
We posted in the Polkadot forum. So Karam, our governance coordinator, received a lot of input. There will be an announcement very soon for the next cohort of DVs.
Yeah.
So I won't give all of the details, but one thing that we heard is that based on current governance trends, DVs are a bit overpowered. So we would like to reduce that. Another thing is getting more subject matter experts on particular topics, DVs. So we thought about this DV Lite program.
Right, where they don't necessarily, it's not a competition for how much you can vote on, but it's more like you come in your domain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, this person is certainly very knowledgeable on this. Unfortunately, we can't delegate just on a particular topic. We can't delegate.
Yeah.
It's impossible from the way the governance is set up.
Yeah.
But what we can do is give this person, individuals that we have seen have participated in governance and they have good ideas and on a particular topic. Then they probably don't have at least bad ideas on other topics. You'll give them a smaller amount of delegated DOT. No compensation for this. DVs are generally compensated because it is a hard job. Nothing is really expected from them. Just like, hey, we see that these people are, good actors in the ecosystem and deserve more of a voice.
Cool.
So this is something we wanted to do, right? Is have some more flexibility, but we're reducing the amount, right? So right now, DVs have 6 million DOT voting power.
Yeah, it's very heavy.
It's extremely heavy for what the percent, what the amount of DOT voting in governance is today.
Yeah.
So I'd say those are the big changes that we're looking to make.
Since that discussion was had, Chaos DAO has gotten massive delegations. So
yes.
Are we still going to reduce, or are we factoring that in? And
so it's all about balance, right? So we definitely have seen, Chaos DAO has gotten a lot, but we don't want this to OpenGov to be Chaos Gov.
Yeah.
But the reason Chaos DAO is getting delegations is because they make decisions that people agree with.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's well earned.
It's well earned. Yeah. So Chaos DAO people out there, good work. DV was never meant to be all right, we're fighting against any individual entity. Right. But rather to spread voices around a bit. So I would say we're aware of these increases in delegations to Chaos DAO, but I don't think that has a direct impact on what we're looking to do for DVs.
Great. And finally, before I let you go, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this economic reform. Gav came out at the Web3 Summit and had some big banger ideas and plans. I think he framed it a lot as, I'm thinking about it. It wasn't really like, this is what we're doing. But certainly step change inflation seems pretty popular with a lot of people, not everybody. Cap supply has gained a lot of popularity as well, both of what he mentioned there. Yeah. What do you think about that?
So I would say he mentioned a lot of things in his talk yesterday. So not just these two.
Standardized payouts for validators, reducing costs, all kinds of interesting things. Yeah.
So one thing is, I think it should be noted, most of what he said was hey, we're thinking about this. This is a possibility. This is not we are planning to do this.
No, exactly.
Right. So I have definitely seen the talk of a cap supply seems to be very popular, especially this pi billion DOT. Someone else had an E billion idea. I think inflation, most people recognize that, inflation is probably too high for what we're getting.
Exactly.
Right. That it's unnecessarily high. And we've already reduced it. Before reducing it, I would really want to talk. We have an economist, Jonas Gerlein at Web3 Foundation. I'd want to talk with him. I haven't had a chance yet to discuss deeply with him yet. I have spoken with him very briefly about this and the cap supply. But I really want to make sure we do things correctly. In terms of major changes, I'm a big believer in you can just do stuff, especially on Kusama. Let's, I think Daniel Olano.
He's doing great.
Yeah, he's doing great. He had a great, in reference to a referendum, he just said, I usually vote aye on everything on Kusama. And cool. So I think if we try this out, we try this out on Kusama, and I think that would be awesome. Let's do it. Polkadot, I just haven't had a chance really to like really understand how it would be done, and those decisions really haven't yet been made. But I would say in general, I think that's something that makes sense, right? You know, like the numbers he threw up, or basically, you know, threw up on screen, were essentially like what we're seeing too.
Yeah,
like, you know,
exactly.
We're paying a lot for security of the network, and that makes sense, right? We want to have a very good network, and economic stability is very important. But the question is, what is the most economically sensible way to do that?
Yeah, and that sort of matches the output and the value that we're creating, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but I see a lot of problems, potentially, with just having this as a sort of fixed payout. And so the question is, why would people do it, and is that keeping people aligned with the system also?
Yeah,
right?
I was very surprised about that, and the stable coins too is interesting.
Yeah, if your staking rewards are in the native token, right, you are like, yes, there is a problem in terms of like having to sell for taxes and things like that.
Yeah, but
also you are aligned with that token. It's psychologically too. So something we were discussing is just being psychologically aligned with the network is very important. So I would say all of these are very interesting ideas, but I haven't looked into them deeply enough yet to really say like, oh yeah, that's an awesome idea. But I do think, again, going back to what we said earlier, like we need to adapt. This is what Polkadot's about. So I would say I'm much more in favor of trying things now than I am of just maintaining the status quo.
Cool. Yeah, I guess what you really said there is you recognize that there's an issue.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That needs to be solved. How we get there is going to be very entertaining no matter what.
Oh, certainly. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Bill, nice to have you back on the show. Thanks very much for sticking with the network and trying to solve all these problems and spreading yourself out, but doing so well at everything you do. It's great to see, and it's nice to be working in the ecosystem with you. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks. It's my pleasure, and likewise, always great to be working with you and seeing you around in the community.
Thanks, Bill.